Candace Owens just made one of the biggest bombshell expositions in the entire Charlie Kirk assassination. I'm going to go through that because even I was like, what the heck? It totally caught me off guard. AOC viciously goes after Charlie Kirk on the floor of Congress, and President Trump makes one of his biggest moves yet, making MAGA members extremely happy. I'll go through that as well. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. It helps me out more than you know, so thank you so much. I want you guys to know I'm investigating everything from did this shooting happen from behind? Did it happen from the side? Now there's a pretty credible theory that there may have been two shooters as a new video comes out with someone else on a building roof even closer to Charlie Kirk. The shot would have been better and easier. I'm also going to go through with you one of the biggest mysteries yet that Candace Owens exclusively breaks to the world. I tried to reach out, have the person on my show. They are saying absolutely not. They fear for their life. So I'll just share what Candace Owens says. But later today, I'm actually going to the crime scene to walk it myself. I've seen video, I've seen photos, I've seen maps, I've seen 3D renderings. I'm going there myself. I want to take photos. I want to walk where he walked. I want to see what happened, the angles. I want to look around the crime scene. I will report back everything that I see, as well as video and photos. I want to go. You've got all these people showing everything. I want to actually go to the scene and see what happened. All right, now, I think one of the biggest mysteries of the Charlie Kirk assassination by Tyler Robinson on September 10th has just been exposed. There was a video going around shortly after the crime scene of somebody coming in, picking up the chair that Charlie Kirk was in, using as a step stool in order to retrieve the camera directly behind Charlie Kirk's head. He then removes the SD camera and runs off, right? We're now finding out that's an employee of Turning Point USA. He's not a bad actor. He's getting death threats, all kinds of threats. He is a good guy. He's a white hat, as they say. He was trying to protect that evidence in order to get it to the sheriff. The lawyers of Turning Point USA now have that, and they're not releasing it. But before that, because Candace Owens was good friends with Charlie Kirk, she was able to call this gentleman directly. He said, I can't share this. I can't show it. And she was able to convince him, just do FaceTime on your iPhone and at least let me see it. She watched it over and over and over again. I'm going to share with you what she saw and what she didn't see so that you guys can better understand this new mystery. Let me know what you guys think.
There's nothing gory about this footage from the back. The thing that really stood out to me, and I just kept asking him to replay it over and over and over again, is that there's no blood. There's no blood from the back. There is no blood. So I think a lot of people were wondering whether or not that bullet pierced and went out to the back. I think I vaguely even remember, and Skylar, you can maybe live look this up, but like I thought the feds were saying they were looking for a bullet at some point, which is now very alarming to me. I don't understand that. How could they have been looking for a bullet? Because if I'm not seeing, and there isn't, I'm telling you, what happens in the front is not what happens in the back at all. If I'm not seeing any blood, what are we to take from that? The only thing that could make sense, if what they're saying is true and that person took the shot from the place that they are saying that individual took the shot from, it would suggest that it was inside of Charlie, right? And they would know that. The feds would have known that. So they would have communicated that they were never looking for a bullet. Because remember, one shot. So I'm very confused. I'm very confused, not by what I saw, but what I didn't see.
Okay, I agree. This leads to even more mystery. So we are told Tyler Robinson in the prone position on the Losi building with a direct shot, which you can see on a map, with a high power Mauser rifle, puts a 30-06 right through the left carotid artery. Blood gushing everywhere. We've seen all of that. Now, Candace Owens is saying the camera that's directly behind Charlie Kirk, there is no bullet. There is no exit wound. There's no blood. It's not gory. There's nothing. So how does a 30-06 rifle bullet going over 400 feet per second that would normally explode ahead go right through the carotid artery and not come out the other side? Did it make a U-turn into his brain? And that's why they can't find the bullet? Like the hole on the front was massive, almost like it was an exit wound from a bullet other than a 30-06. But the hole is massive. The back hole should have blown everything to pieces. That's what happens. These bullets, boom, they spread open and take everything with them. She's saying there is no bullet hole and there is no exit wound. There's no gore. There's no blood. Very, very weird. I don't like that. That is very mysterious to me. So I don't know about these other theories. Oh, he was shot from behind right here and his earpiece blows out and it pulls his shirt up and the microphone flips off. And then you see all of this, gore. But the front is starting more and more to look like an exit wound. And if you're telling me there is no exit wound, there's not a massive hole, and there's no blood, no gore, something is not adding up. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we will get that footage and be able to show it to you. I have reached out. I've offered to have that person come on. I was told no. They're laying low. They're a good guy. Turning Point USA attorneys have possession of the film. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? For me, that's like a huge, huge mystery. And again, later today, I'm going down. I'm going to walk from 800 onto campus. I want to walk through the tunnel. I want to see how he got up onto the roof. I want to look at the different buildings. I want to look at the building that they're now saying there was a second person on. I want to look at the Losi building, the Sparks building. I'm going to show you guys the angles, the camera, where he jumped off, where he runs into the woods. I want to show that to everybody. All right, another thing that I want to show to you guys is leaders like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, many others. They would have you believe that violence is on both sides, hateful rhetoric is on both sides. But then look at what AOC does on the floor of Congress when it comes to talking about Charlie Kirk. I found this to be disgusting. You guys let me know what you think of AOC's comments.
I thank the gentleman, Representative Green, for his graciousness. Today, the Republican House majority brought to the floor a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's assassination was a horrific and vile attack and incident of political violence. And condemning the depravity of Kirk's brutal murder is a straightforward matter, one that is especially important to help stabilize an increasingly unsafe and volatile political environment where everyday people feel more at risk. We can deeply disagree and come together as a country to denounce the horror of this killing. And it is not a license for the abuse of power and whitewashing of American history. Today's resolution only underscores the majority's recklessness by choosing to author this condemnation and honoring on a purely partisan basis instead of uniting Congress in this tragedy with one of the many bipartisan options to condemn political violence and Kirk's murder, as we did with the late Melissa Hortman. Instead, the majority proceeded with a resolution that brings great pain to the millions of Americans who endured segregation, Jim Crow, and the legacy of bigotry today. We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake, who after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi claimed that, quote, some amazing patriot, unquote, should bail out his brutal assailant, and accused Jews of controlling, quote, not just the colleges, it's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it, unquote. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans, far from the working, quote, working tirelessly to promote unity, unquote, asserted by the majority in this resolution. It is equally important that Congress does unite to reject the government's attempt to weaponize this moment into an all-out assault on free speech across the country, all in the name of Charlie Kirk. President Trump and the FCC are now cynically threatening to shut down ABC and any outlets who give airtime to the administration's political critics. This is a disgusting attack on the American people and the very First Amendment rights that define us as a country. It is also the ABC Corporation's responsibility to refuse to embolden and participate in this corruption and escalation of censorship. We continue to pray for Mr. Kirk's family and loved ones in the wake of this terrible act. I am thinking especially of his children and his wife, whose grief cannot be measured. And with that, I yield back to the gentleman.
These Democrats are such a mystery to me, right? Like, oh, Charlie Kirk's murder was brutal and vile, but also his murder hurts a lot of our voters' feelings. Then she goes on to tell lies about the civil rights movement. That was a quote that was taken out of context. That the Jews own Hollywood and banking and different. That's true. That's all true. That's not lies. So I don't know why she is standing up there. And then at the end, oh, we pray for his widow, the widow of this monster, the widow of this guy who makes millions of our voters feel bad. Give me a break. Democrat Party is full of so much hypocrisy. I could just choke on it. It's just absolutely crazy to me. Let me know what you guys think about AOC and her comments. I just see a lot of outrage and a lot of fake sympathy. Oh, our prayers for you. You're the same people that said, F your prayers. Prayers don't work. Religious people are terrible. So, and I hate that our government leaders put us in a position where we can't trust them. I don't trust 99% of them. I don't. And Alex Jones, he had Ed Dowd, a former stock analyst, who was the first one to really prove with numbers that the COVID shot was causing more deaths than the virus. By the way, did you see that ACIP, the group that does the vaccine stuff, 12-0 voted that they no longer universally support the COVID vaccine? They're saying, based on the data, 12 out of 12 of us on the CDC ACIP panel are saying, do not get this shot. We do not universally recognize this shot. Anyway, I apologize. So Ed Dowd was the numbers guy that figured out that the vaccine was actually killing more people than the virus. And he gave some interesting insight on Kash Patel, President Trump, the deep state, and Charlie Kirk. Let me go ahead and bring that to the screen. I think you guys will find this interesting.
My biggest question is what's going on with the investigation? There's clearly a concerted effort to muddy the waters. Look, I don't know if there were people supporting this Tyler Robinson, but that needs to be investigated. And I'm not going down rabbit holes of who did it or why. But what we do know is there seems to be narrative control already coming out of the FBI. I'm of the opinion that Kash Patel doesn't have full control of his agency. That text message just doesn't pass the sniff test for me. And there seems to be some sort of narrative control. And there's a fracturing within our movement of who did it and why. And, we've got to pull back 30,000 feet. This is a class issue. It has been for a long time. The top 1% own 50% of the global wealth. And this is classic divide and conquer. I sent your people a meme that shows a king on a parapet with an advisor with the pitchfork and the torch people below. And they say, look, you don't have to fight them. All you have to do is convince the pitchfork people that the torch people want their pitchforks. And this is classic. So we need to step back and not be divided as a nation. And I'm also very suspicious as to the timing of Charlie Kirk's assassination, which I was very deeply affected by. These deep staters are like blood-soaked ticks. And I said this before Trump got in there, that we had to be very cautious about that. It's going to be hard to remove these people. And I'm of the opinion the FBI is not under Kash Patel's control. And so this talk about Israel doing it, well, could it be a state actor? Sure, but I'm more of the opinion it's our own state, deep state, that maybe facilitated this and ginned up the current suspect. We need to investigate what was going on, who he communicated with. We just can't have this as a lone wolf gunman. I think that's what is the narrative that they're trying to put forth. And there's a lot of questions that need to be asked. Steve Bannon's on it. You're on it. This is something that we need to figure out. But the bottom line is there is this concerted effort to muddy the waters and create all sorts of different narratives to get us to go down these rabbit holes into the weeds. All we need to know is this: Charlie Kirk is dead. That was a clear signal to shut up to us, and we're not going to take it lying down. We're going to lawfully and legally pursue this. We're going to become more convicted in our fight against this deep state cabal, which is still active, in my humble opinion. And that text thread shows to me that there's something going on behind the scenes that we're not in control of. And I don't like it.
Yeah, a 22-year-old didn't write that. I totally agree with Matt Baker. It sounds like ChatGPT.
Okay. There is a clear effort to muddy the water, to divide us. Nothing makes sense about these text messages. I want to know, did they actually come from the FBI, or are we all just parroting talking points and somebody put this out from ChatGPT? I don't know. Very, very weird. I mean, yesterday I showed you how Candace Owens said, the word retrieve, squad car, my old man, vehicle. These are not how 22-year-olds talk. Now, last night at midnight, my wife showed me a video of Tyler Robinson dealing with the police, and his car had been hit going through a yellow light, and multiple times he does call it a vehicle. Now, if you watch before that, he may have used the word vehicle because the police officer referred to the car as a vehicle multiple times. So that could have been just the word they were using, so the word that he parroted back to them as he was trying to avoid a ticket for going through a yellow light. Again, a lot of mystery out there, and I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. And I also hate how much government leaders lie to us. For example, Nancy Pelosi lies all of the time. And I'm not talking about insider trading. Like, we know that she does that. We know that she's become worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And by the way, President Trump is now calling, shut this down, make it a single vote issue, and get insider trading out of the government. We can't have righteous, good, honorable people who can also trade off of insider information. So sorry, that I'll do a video on that later today. But She allowed us to believe that a right-wing lunatic extremist, a Trump fan, had attacked her husband with a hammer. Well, now we're finding out none of that was true. In 2022, when Paul Pelosi was attacked in his home, Speaker Nancy Pelosi allowed the narrative to spread that the assailant, David DePape, was a Trump-supporting MAGA extremist. You guys probably remember this. The truth, however, is coming out, and it's far different. David DePape was an illegal immigrant who entered the United States on a tourist visa in 2008, overstayed his welcome, committed several crimes that he was arrested for, and dealt with mental health issues. He was living in an LGBTQ Russian immigrant relationship at a house with a BLM and a rainbow flag. Sounds like a real Trump supporter, right? DePape supported socialist candidates and even voted illegally in the San Francisco area. Yet San Francisco's sanctuary city policies repeatedly shield him from deportation and prosecution. And it's just now coming out 3 years later that he was an illegal immigrant. Well, no wonder she wanted everyone to believe that he was a right-wing MAGA extremist, because Democrats love and defend illegal immigrants. They need them to vote for them. So I'm sick of the lies. It's the main reason that I run this channel, is I'm just so disgusted by all the government lies. All right, now President Trump has done one of his biggest moves yet, and I'm very happy. President Trump is signing an order to label Antifa a terrorist organization funded through American banks and billionaires to the detriment of the United States. He believes that this is a well-organized, well-funded organization that is put out anytime Democrats begin to lose the narrative. So he's about to sic the federal government, law enforcement, Department of Justice, and the FBI to investigate and break up Antifa all over the United States of America. They've been behind some of the biggest protests and rallies in American history. They, meaning the DOJ, the FBI, are going to follow the money. And President Trump believes it's going to lead to George Soros and others. Also, people that weaponize taxpayer money through NGOs taking billions of dollars from USAID. It's all a giant web. And you've got people like Sam Antar and Data Republican. They are digging in. They are finding so many connections to George Soros, NGOs, and USAID. I cannot wait for this whole spider web to be unraveled. But it's not just the United States, and it's not just President Trump. I read just the other day that ever since President Trump announced that, now the Dutch Parliament is planning to designate Antifa a terror group. Hungary is about to declare Antifa a terrorist group, and other NATO nations and European Union nations. They're all sick of it. They've helped our countries be infiltrated with illegal immigrants, bringing in crazy ideology. They've been doing mass psychosis, all of these psychoanalytics on our minds in order for us to just accept this as reality. But President Trump, he's putting his foot down and he's putting an end to this. So I'm going to get ready for a big interview, and then my wife and I are heading off to UVU to walk the crime scene ourselves of the Charlie Kirk assassination. I will let you guys know. Tomorrow, I will be covering the memorial the best that I can. I'm not going to go there. The FBI is already saying they're getting lots of threats, bomb threats. They just arrested someone this morning who was on the security team, and it turns out it was a fake person trying to infiltrate. So I'm just praying that everybody is safe tomorrow, and then it can be a good memorial for Charlie Kirk. J.D. Vance is going to be there, the vice president. President Trump, the president of the United States, will be there, and many others. All right, I love you guys. Stay safe and amazing, and I will see you on the next video.